وَكَيْفَ تَكْفُرُونَ, and how dare you disbelieve? How could you all disbelieve? وَأَنْتُمْ تُتْلَى عَلَيْكُمْ آيَاتُ اللَّهِ, and you're the people. You, antum, exclamation, تُتْلَى عَلَيْكُمْ آيَاتُ اللَّهِ. The miraculous signs of Allah are being read on to you. You're the people that revelation is directly coming to. You're the one in the best position to commit yourselves to it. What justification do you have to pay attention to the people of the book? What void is there in this Quran that's not being filled for you, that you have to go listen to them and pay attention to them? Antum? Tutla alaykum ayatullah? The ayat of Allah are not enough that they're being read on to you? That should be enough for you not to be looking to pay attention or being affected by anybody else. And then he adds another justification. How dare you become this way? If what's the second justification? وَفِيكُمْ رَسُولُهُ. It is especially in your midst that His messenger is. His messenger is especially among you. The Quran is being read on to you, and the messenger is among you. You are the last people that have the ability to go back. Now the thing is, you could argue the ayat of Allah are being recited onto us also. Every salah, tutla alayna ayatullah. The ayat of Allah are being recited onto us. Somebody could argue, but the messenger is not with us. No, he may not be with us in physical person. His words are with us. His instruction is with us. His seerah is with us. For those people in the thousands of, centuries ago, the Prophet ﷺ was a person that lived next door. These books, these compilations, they are for us what the messenger is, ﷺ. But Allah Azza wa Jal made it so that these things are preserved. So the spirit of the messenger's deen remains with us. His words are supposed to be as impactful on us as they were on the people that were sitting in front of him listening to him. There's a reason Allah made sure those words get preserved. Those instructions and that legacy gets preserved. So His sunnah is still in our midst. So this question is still pertinent to us. وَكَيْفَ تَكْفُرُونَ وَأَنْتُمْ تُتْلَى عَلَيْكُمْ آيَاتُ اللَّهِ وَفِيكُمْ رَسُولُهُ. By the way, this is happening all around us. Young Muslim or Muslimah never really got an education in their religion from their family, not a fault of their own. Then they ended up in college, and in college they started listening to some stuff from like some Christian group took them in, or some other philosophy club took them in, and they started listening to stuff, and they're like, yeah, Muslim, I remember going to Sunday school once in a while, but I think I'm going to become a Christian, or I think I'm going to become an agnost, or whatever else, right? Why? And Allah says, how can that ever happen if what is the case? وَأَنْتُمْ تُتْلَى عَلَيْكُمْ آيَاتُ اللَّهِ. What's the case with these kids that are leaving Islam left and right? And it's happening, it's very sad. They were never in a position where the ayat of Allah were being read onto them. They were never in a position where the beautiful teaching of this deen was they were given direct access to it. They were never truly introduced to who the messenger of Allah is, ﷺ. And what Allah is teaching us in between the lines in these ayat is, for a person who's genuinely introduced to Islam, and they come to it with sincere intent, then there is no justifiable intellectual reason for which they will leave. You can put blocks on their chest, you can burn them alive, you can rip them apart, they're not going to leave. They're in. Once they get exposed, once they get a taste for what this iman is. Now there's a difference between someone who never tasted iman to begin with, they entered with flaw and they, easy come, easy go. But one who comes in and tastes it, it's very difficult for them to walk away from this deen. They can't justify it for themselves. وَمَنْ يَعْتَصِمْ بِاللَّهِ. What a beautiful word, asama. Asama, and then from it you get i'tasama. I'tasama ya'tasimu, what's the masdar? I'tasama ya'tasimu? I'tisam, right? So let's talk about the mujarrad verb first, asama. Asama is to stop somebody, hold them, because if you don't hold them, they'll run off and get themselves into danger. Like imagine if there's a child running towards a house that's on fire, and you hold the child back, tells him, my toy, and he runs towards the house, and you grab him and you hold him even if they want to go. Asamtahu. You protected that child, because had you let them go, they would have run themselves into danger. Now if you yourself really want to go somewhere, you're tempted to go, but you hold yourself back and you say, no, it's too dangerous, I'm going to get myself killed. This is i'tisam, it affects yourself. It becomes the lazim form of it. It becomes the form of it that's intransitive, it affects yourself. Whoever protects themselves, seeks protection for themselves, not letting themselves jump into a fire, towards which they were otherwise headed. Imagine there's a wind blowing, and you're being pushed, whether you like it or not, towards that burning house. The only thing that can, and you're not strong enough to fight that wind. What do you have? What's the only way you can survive? Got to hold on to something, yes? That's the only way. Imagine another scene I want you to picture, because i'tisam, a lot of times, Allah gave this example Himself, so it's the best example. فَقَدْ اسْتَمْسَكَ بِالْعُرْوَةِ الْوُثْقَى, right? An anchor that's very heavy, it's laid down. There's a storm, you fell off the ship. But ships usually have what hanging on the side? The anchor, that huge chain with the gigantic links, right? So you're holding on to the anchor. The water, the rain, the heavy waves are all begging you to be drowned. They're just pulling you to be drowned. And the only thing keeping you afloat is you holding on for dear life. This is i'tisam. This is a kind of danger that will lead you to destruction unless you hold on for protection. So Allah says, وَمَنْ يَعْتَصِمْ بِاللَّهِ, and whoever would hold on to Allah for dear life, وَمَنْ يَعْتَصِمْ بِاللَّهِ فَقَدْ هُدِيَ إِلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ, then he has been guided. In other words, once you hold on to that link, He'll give you the strength to hold on to the next link and next link. Now you're heading up a path, away from danger. فَقَدْ هُدِيَ, then he has been guided إِلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ, to a straight path, a path that leads straight up. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اتَّقُوا اللَّهِ. These ayat are very powerful and they require a thorough discussion. I'll probably, in the next 10 minutes or so, at least do the first of these ayat if I can. Then inshallah ta'ala we'll talk about the next two ayat, because they're all three of them are sort of connected, and they include in them a very deep philosophy of our religion, a very deep teaching of our religion. In these three ayat is captured, and that teaching is that of how an earth is dead, and it's like nothing has grown on it for a long time, and you want it to turn into a garden again. You have to go through certain processes before that dead earth can become a garden again. That's the simile of, or it's a parallel for a nation, a Muslim nation, who's lost its true essence. It's like that dead earth. And you want it to become a flourishing nation once again. You want it to come back to its original beauty. There's a 3-step process. And so the first of these ayat is the first step, then there's the second step, and then there's the third step. Now, interestingly, the ayah we just covered gets you out of trouble. You were being pulled by the people of the book down into the storm. But you held on to Allah and tried to save yourself, and now you're heading up a path. But is it still a possibility that you could slip and fall again? Sure. There's a possibility of you slipping and falling. So every step you take forward, you have to take it very cautiously. You have to make sure you protect yourself from every angle, because you could slip at any moment. So the next ayah, make sure you protect yourself. You protect yourself. So Allah says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu ittaqullaha. Those of you who have iman, protect yourselves. Ittaqu by itself literally means to protect yourself from wiqaya. Ittaqa yattaqi, to protect oneself. Waqa yaqi means to protect someone else. Waqiya yaqi, to protect somebody else. So aqika, I'll protect you. Okay? But attaqi, I will try to protect myself. I will try to protect myself. Now, protect yourself from who? Allah. Meaning from making Allah unhappy. Who just threw you the anchor and who just helped you survive the storm? Allah. And at the same time, who should you be terrified of and protect yourself of? Allah. Because if you make Allah happy, if you make Allah unhappy, you no longer deserve to be pulled out of the storm. So what will He do? He'll let you go. Go ahead. Don't hold on. He'll let go. This image you have to appreciate what Allah is saying here. While you're holding on to Allah, make sure not to make Him unhappy. Not to make Him upset. Ittaqullaha. Be fearful of displeasing Allah. It's not fear Allah. I told you this before. Fear is khawf. Khawf Allah. Fear Allah. Ittaqullah, protect yourselves from displeasing Allah. Protect yourselves from disobeying Allah. Protect yourselves from disappointing Allah. Haqqa tuqatihi. As He deserves that precaution should be taken of Him. As is worthy of Him. Sahaba heard this and they said, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ حَتَّى تُقَاتِهِ. Who's going to have taqwa of Allah like he deserves? I mean, ask yourself a simple question. Who prays to Allah like Allah deserves to be prayed to? Who makes dua to Allah like Allah deserves to be made dua to? Who remembers Allah like Allah deserves to be remembered? Who thanks Allah like Allah deserves to be thanked? Who's going to be cautious of Allah as is worthy of Him? That's impossible. That's an impossible standard. So Allah revealed another ayah, that's in Surah Al-Taghabun, the 64th surah. He says, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. Have taqwa of Allah as much as you possibly can. So we understand these two ayat in conjunction. When Allah says, have taqwa of Allah like He deserves to have, what that means practically is as much as you possibly can. Which means that this becomes a personal judgment call for you and me. You know, you could say, I'm doing everything I can. You could tell anybody else that. If you can, in all good conscience, if you can tell yourself, I'm doing everything I can, and you're comfortable with the idea that one day you're going to be able to tell Allah, Ya Allah, I did everything I could, knowing full well He knows what's on your tongue and what's in your heart, and knowing your capabilities better than even you know them yourself. If you can honestly say that to yourself, then fine. And if not, keep trying. Because nobody should be able to cop out. It's the easiest cop out is say, I'm doing everything I can. I'm doing what I can. Right? Not to push yourself to any higher standard. فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَسْتَطَعْتُمْ. As much as you possibly can. So here, حَقَّ تُقَاتِهِ وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ. Don't you dare die. What will give you a sense of urgency that you have to protect yourself from Allah? You know, this life is a struggle. Nothing compared to what struggles may lie ahead on Judgment Day. Or for eternity to come after. And that journey will be, the end of this journey will be the beginning of that one. He says, وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ, which I'm going to translate figuratively, don't you dare start that new journey. It says literally, don't you dare die. But death for the Muslim is what? The start of the next journey. This is the first stop on the train is death. Then there's the next stop is the life in the grave. Then the next stop after that is Judgment Day. Then the next stop after that doesn't have any more stops after which it's the afterlife. That's the permanent station. Either imma al-jannah, imma al-nar. Right? Allahumma adkhilna fil jannah. Right? So, but here death is what will determine everything else. All the future stops will be determined by this one thing. So your time's running out. You better protect yourself. And don't you dare allow death to come to you except that you're in a state of submission. وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. Allah highlighted not mu'minun but Muslimun. This is important because Islam is an act and Iman is a feeling. Iman is something you have inside your heart. Islam is something you have in your actions. Someone submits. An act of submission. In other words, death will come and you better be in obedience when death comes. You better be in submission when death comes. You better not be caught doing something in disobedience when death arrives. Because death won't come and say, oh, I'm sorry, you're watching a movie? Okay, hold on. I'll be back at Jummah time during the khutbah. It won't do that. It'll catch you whether you're obeying or disobeying, it'll come. And the one who really wants to protect themselves knows it can come at any moment. I better not get caught red-handed in the middle of sin. It's called su'ul khatim, the worst kind of death. The evil death. Evil death implying you died in the middle of a sin. And that, by the way you die, or the state in which you die, is a good indication of what Allah has in store for you. You know, there are people who die making sajda. They just didn't get up from sajda in jama'ah. They were praying fajr in jama'ah and they make sajda, they never got up. You know? There are people who said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, making salat, they didn't get to the second salam. They're gone. You know? Then there are people, I had such a horrible tragedy. And you know, there was a young kid who was going to some party with his girlfriend in New York, died in a car accident on the way. Muslim kid, in Ramadan. Yeah. And he's just terrifying. And his brother was the DJ at the party. Yeah. He quit the DJ business thereafter. Made tawbah. But that's scary stuff. And no one person should feel safe. No, they're talking about some sheikh who died over there and some evil guy who died, or Fir'aun. It's not talking about me. We shouldn't think like that. This is your story. Allah's talking about you and He's talking about me. That's what He's talking about. And it's not just that, just because I'm up here and you guys are listening, doesn't mean this stuff doesn't apply to me. I better watch it. Every one of us has a public face and a private face. How we are at home, how we are among our friends, how we are just when nobody else is around. The angel of death does not say, oh, I'm sorry, you're in a meeting. Oh, you need some private time, you're on a break. I shouldn't come to you right now. It won't be like that, right? وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ. Don't you dare die. وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. That you are in a state of submission. This is a personal transformation. This ayah that I'm ending with is a personal transformation. One starts living a life of caution with Allah, And the thing that will keep them constantly cautious is a reminder of what? Of death. That reminder will keep them cautious. Remember I told you the most valuable asset we have is what? Time. And the biggest loss we're all suffering at the same time is also time. Whether we like it or not, we're losing it every moment. Hayatuka anfas. All your life amounts to is a bunch of inhales and exhales. That's what all your life amounts to. And every time you inhale and every time you exhale, a piece of your life and mind from this world has been taken away that can never come back. Every single breath is a step closer. إِنَّكَ كَادِحٌ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ كَدْحًا فَمُلَاقِيهِ. You are marching forward, you are put on a conveyor belt, you're heading forward towards your master, whether you like it or not, whether you accept it or not, whether you're oblivious to it or not, none of that matters. You're still heading there. You could stand on a conveyor belt, whether you face backwards or forwards, you're still heading forward. Whether you close your eyes or open them, you're still heading forward. So the one who wants to see reality and the one who refuses to see it, it doesn't matter. They're still heading forward. And the one who is able to open their eyes and look at the danger around them and protect themselves on this journey, well, they are ready to be taken in a state that they are Muslim. And don't you dare die. La tamutu is the forbidding form of the verb. La tamutu. Mata yamutu mautan fahuwa ma'it. Ma'it is said for someone who's about to die. Not someone who's dead, but someone who's about to die. And mayyit also someone about to die. Mayit is someone who's dead itself. Mayit. But anyway, then you find from it, al-amru minhu mut. Command is what? Mut. Mut, muta, and then mutu. La tamut, la tamuta, and la tamutu. But it says la tamutunna. La tamutunna. That noon is noon thaqila. The heaviest noon. Not la tamutun. La tamutunna. Don't you dare die. Except if you're Muslim. Except you're in submission. It's the strongest warning about, and you know, if you just stop at la tamutunna, you're like, I can't do it. I'm going to die anyway. Don't you dare die. Well, can't help that part. What part of it can you help? Illa wa antum muslimun. While this wa antum muslimun is wa haliyah. While you're in a state of submission. While you're in Islam. May Allah Azza wa Jal give us that state of Islam throughout our lives. So I'll stop here inshallah ta'ala and continue this important conversation. Barakallahu li wa lakum fil Qur'an al-Hakim wa nafa'ni wa iyyakum bil ayati wa dhikr al-Hakim.